Oh, hi, James the editor here. I just wanted to take a quick moment to let you know that this conversation with Ali was actually filmed on April 3rd, and it's going out quite a quite a long time after, well, late, you could call it. The reason is there were many technical issues in the actual live stream of this that took a really, really long time to get it to the point where we feel happy sending it to you on YouTube. So think of this more as an audio podcast than a traditional conversation with Ali, because it doesn't look perfect, but it looks a lot better than it did when we initially recorded the live stream. So, yeah, just wanted to let you know.
I think it's good, yeah.
Is it good? Okay. I'm just gonna go on a limb and say that I think we're okay. Sorry about this, guys. Now I feel like a really terrible host, and I have like one of the coolest guests on
No,
today.
you're fine.
Okay. So, okay, Joey, I will let you begin and talk a little bit about yourself. Obviously, for those who are watching, I'm sure they know who you are, but if you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing right now and what United Ballet Theater is doing right now.
Awesome. Well, yeah, my name's Joseph Gatti. I'm Principal International Guest Artist and founder and director of United Ballet Theater, which is a brand new professional ballet company that prioritizes not only on like performances and rehearsals, but cross training and personal fitness and sustained peak performance for our dancers, which is something a little unorthodox in terms of how professional ballet companies are run. So yeah, this is this
Definitely.
this is our inaugural season before all this stuff happened.
I know. I've been being, I mean, obviously I'm in English. I haven't physically been able to see what you guys are doing, but with the lovely tool that we have being social media, you guys look like you are just doing some amazing things. And hopefully when all this goes away, I'm excited to see what you guys are doing next.
Thank you. Yes, we are too, very much.
Definitely. Well, it goes without saying what time this is, and I really wanted to be able to reach out to artists in all different places in their career and in all different places in the world to talk about what we're all doing and how we're all getting through this. And I thought that you would be able to provide us with amazing insight, not only because you are a amazing and wildly successful performer yourself, but you are also now in a position of artistic leadership. And so I wanted to
Mhm.
briefly talk a little bit about how is this personally affecting you? Like, have you, obviously you're not able to perform at the moment, but what does it mean for right now and looking forward into the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. As you know, so many companies are canceled. The rest of their seasons are canceled, just like ours. We had another show in May, which we had to cancel. Um,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm so sorry.
yeah, I know it's crazy right now, but I do believe that we're all gonna um, jump up from this pretty strong. I think it's just gonna give us that insight again of how much we really miss what we do in terms of dance and for me running a company. I mean, it's been an incredible first season and working with all the amazing dancers and choreographers that we were able to bring in. But so
Yeah,
just some things are on hold right now, but it'll be active again, and I feel like the support will be there too for our community and all over the world really for companies.
absolutely.
You
Absolutely. And
know.
so someone just wrote in a question, and I think this one is very interesting because
Mm,
this affects us all. Ballet, as we know, is a very short career. It's not one that we
hmm
can really do on stage per se into our
Forever.
60s. And so, definitely, this is when we have injuries, obviously, that's time off that we have to personally deal with. And of
Yeah.
course, many dancers sometimes take personal leave, but this is something that none of us really asked for. None of us really chose to take the time off. What can you talk about as far as a timeline? Is this something that is do you view it as being stressful, or do you view it as being an opportunity to continue to grow in other areas?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, sadly, I just, there's so many dancers who, especially I feel like the younger ones who, they don't know other than dance. They don't know anything else other than dance. It happens a lot. Ones who work so hard since they've been so young, and working towards being a professional. So, yeah, I think you have to think of the positive side of that and being able to just try and open up something that a hobby or something that you like to do on your own time, and even if it's just reading books or editing something or finding, even like, for example, some dancers are more and more dancers are actually getting into like Pilates and yoga and things like that, and I think that's another great thing to focus on, especially when you don't have that studio space that you're used to having,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's
absolutely.
definitely stressful, but I think there's good out of it too, that you can build your character with. And it stinks. I mean, staying in shape can be very difficult, obviously, for professionals
For
like
sure.
us. So I completely understand that. But there's always something I think you can do. And like I said before, even if it's like 30 minutes of movement, that can boost your immune system. Just 30 minutes. So
Definitely.
something that you can do. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting that when we're talking about this, it's so amazing because there are so many professional dancers who are at a level like yourself where one would think maybe, or one who maybe doesn't realize the stress that you guys face as well, because you are kind of the example on paper and in pictures of what many dancers hope their career to look like. And so to be able to hear
Oh,
from
thank you.
someone in your position that this does affect us all, regardless of being at the beginning, middle, end of your career. I mean, we are all being affected in a very similar capacity. And so I wanted
Yeah.
to touch on that and talk a little bit about, obviously there's so much uncertainty, and we don't know when we're going to be back on stage again. But in the meantime, what are you doing, and what is your philosophy for how to pass this time and how to continue to grow professionally, because we're not really able to do so in a studio atmosphere?
Yeah, it's a really great question. For me, it's I think many dancers should do this too. Like if you're really into being a professional, and obviously having some type of space, getting some type of space, even if it's just bar, doing things like that. Like I said before, some Pilates, but mixing it up, because somebody asked me a very interesting question a few days ago after I taught, like, should I be doing ballet class every single day? And this is the time where you can kind of find your balance too. And this is one thing that
Mm-hmm.
I prioritize with United Ballet Theater. Obviously, we do have ballet class every day because we have rehearsal every day, so you're going to be prepared. But we have alternating days of intensity, so this is a great time to actually maybe try that out, where you can have a day of a hard, ballet bar, and then maybe do a day of conditioning, and then do a day, and then go back to the ballet bar, and then do Pilates and stuff like that. So I think keeping some type of regimen and balance, which is something I always preach about in my company, balance can help you stay activated, your muscles activated and awake until we are able to come back, you know?
Absolutely. No, I think it's
Yeah.
just for the mental portion of this too, even if it's just taking your dog outside for a walk, getting
Yeah.
fresh air, letting your eyes see something different than the same four walls. I think that it does absolute wonders just for our morale right now, because this is, it's hard staying inside. I mean, it's interesting because we're always in a studio per se, but like we're
Yeah.
seeing different things, we're interacting with people, and for a lot of us right now, I mean, I'm fortunate that I made it home to be with my family at this time, but a lot of people are on their own, and it's very, very hard to keep yourself motivated and keep yourself mentally stimulated as well.
It's so true. It's so true. I think even filming yourself too can help too. Can help a lot. If you're doing like a class and something like
Absolutely.
that, because you may not have those teachers that are on you all the time, but filming yourself and studying yourself and studying others to dance can help improve your knowledge for dance, I think that's something you can do too a lot while you're home. But
Absolutely. And so there's a couple of questions that I think I wanted to talk about these and maybe open them up to discussion a
hmm
bit because they're very interesting. And I think this comes a little bit more from the pre-professional looking towards having a professional career. I mean, obviously, there's dancers and students around the world who are, this was their audition season and they wanted to get
I
jobs, they wanted to
know,
begin working.
I know.
You're in a position now where you have a company and you're an artistic director. So what advice could you give to those
hmm
dancers who worked so hard, put in the hours, and are now unable to audition, or potentially they're unsure of this next season will look like for them because of the socioeconomic decline? Will there be jobs available? So what insight can you give from an artistic point of view? What should we be doing at this time, or what can we do to continue that pursuit of a contract?
Yeah, well, I think all of us as directors and stuff who run companies are leaning towards, the next season. It's going to be, we're prepared for that to be open and ready and active. So I think, unfortunately, yeah, a lot of people that were going to come to audition, we had a lot of interest and people, emailing in to come and take class and audition. But we had to cancel that, obviously, just like a lot of the other places. But we are hopefully even more directors who will be able to do this. But being able to accept people through just videos, it might come down to that for a lot of people that wanting to audition, and they should have that opportunity. And even if it's something like emailing us, footage of maybe a recent performance, maybe something that's within the last year or something like that. So just giving them that
Sure,
opportunity to still be able to audition, so they're not just feeling like they can't do anything. So this is what we're going to
absolutely.
try and do. So
That's a
hopefully that will
wonderful,
help.
wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially at this time, there's many, many companies. I mean, I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that pretty much every company has its doors closed for the foreseeable future, at least.
I
Hopefully that
know.
changes. I
Me
really
too.
do.
Me too.
Um,
Yeah.
but 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 for those companies and for those dancers who are on the longer end of that waiting period, what could you share with them personally about what they can do to stay mentally in a good place? Because it's oftentimes very easy to address the physical challenges that we come across. My throat is hurting or my ankle is really not well today. I need to take it easy with jumps. We're able to communicate those things because that's something that's maybe normal in our career, body pains or, feeling ill. But obviously, the mental side of things, it's very, very difficult to confront, especially someone in authority position, a ballet master, a director, and talk about that they're maybe not doing 100% up here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really interesting point, and it's true. I mean, this is like really hard times right now, and staying positive, especially for those people who, like you said, right, who are wanting to audition and stuff, and are on the back end of that
Yeah,
waiting. It's very difficult, but you have to remember, even when this isn't happening, yeah, it's a lot of just different taste in terms of directors, what they want. So you could get a job like
yeah, for
that, but
sure.
it's better if you just stay positive. Obviously, you have to, and be able to keep your mind on that goal in terms of, sending your audition material out to everywhere that you may be interested in, because it's better to have options, obviously. So you want to be able to make some footage of yourself, and not just for yourself to learn from too, but being able to send that material out to so many different places can help give you a better option and a better chance, obviously. It's not always the way you want it, you know in terms
Yeah,
of what company you want to be in and all of that, because it's out of your powers and your control. But you can at least try and send your stuff to that. Just do that first step and see what you get back. And also just promote yourself. I mean, I've been a freelance artist now for over 8 years, and I've been in this, it's kind of not a new situation for me, but a lot of people who are
Yeah.
from companies are in this situation. Like, what do I do? This is exactly what I've been doing, you know, promoting myself for so long, even though there might be videos that I don't like of myself, but I have to promote myself in order to get work. I'm not in,
Sure.
the last 8 years, I haven't been in a company where I'd get a paid salary weekly. It was just
Sure.
how the work that I got from promoting myself. So this is something I think you guys can try out and continue to do until you do get back to company life. But you can definitely do that. I feel, you know, with that confidence and making videos, even if you're not 100% confident about, but putting it out there, and people are going to enjoy it. People are going to like it. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I think that's wonderful. I definitely enjoy everything that you put out there. I think most people who see what you put out there
Thanks.
is just in awe, not only of your dancing, but
Uh,
the message that comes along with that. And I think that that is something so important and so relevant at a time like this because we're all, you know, I was really surprised. I had a notification pop through on my phone just the other day, like you spent an
mhm.
average of something like 8 hours on your phone today, and I was just blown away.
Oh,
I mean, I've never
yeah.
looked at a screen this much in my life. You know, it's I mean, of course, there's,
I know.
I have my phone to communicate with my family and friends and, work emails and things like that. But I'm actually one of those people, I try to put it away as much as I possibly can. And I even set timers on there, like you're
Yeah.
only allowed to spend this much time on social media a day and then be done with it. And, that's
Hmm.
just a life choice I made because, I've actually gone an entire year without social media and without a phone
Wow.
altogether. So after doing
Yeah.
that, that
Yeah.
really changed
You
my
see?
perspective. And then being on this side of it now with coronavirus, it's completely flipped. Like I'm dependent on this to be connected with the people I love and the things that I am part of, And so it's very interesting how the you know, I don't want to say cultural society, but like how the world right now is depending on being able to communicate because that's really all we can do.
Yeah. It's so true. I know. I know. And a lot of, you know, I'm fortunate. I mean, I've been, even though I don't like it so much, but I have to, like I was telling you, you know, promote myself. So I'm so used to being on social media and posting
Yeah,
videos and stuff. But it's different, you know,
sure.
obviously. When you're in a company or doing something else, but it's a lot, you know, just staring at the screen for so long. Oh, man.
Definitely. Now, when you mention freelancing, maybe not
Mhm.
everyone who's watching or who will see this, maybe they're not familiar with that term. Can you describe a little bit about the difference between being in a company environment and then being a freelance artist?
Yeah, it definitely has its pros and cons. Obviously, you know, freelance dancer, you find work wherever whoever's interested, and obviously you're your own boss, which can, you know, has its pros and cons. Obviously, what I've found out and being because of both, because of being, you know, experiencing professional company life, but also experiencing freelance artist life, I was able to find this balance and this type of regiment that now I provide for my company, the United Ballet Theater, and it seems to work really well, and dancers seem to really enjoy it. Um, Obviously, there's a certain age, I feel, and maybe a level where they're not experienced too much professional company life, that it may not be good for them, obviously, you know, because you want that
Sure.
consistent training. But yeah, being a freelance artist, I was able to find that balance, and be able to take a little more time for myself, to condition and cross train and maybe do, you know, floor bar and not rehearse. So it's helped me a lot, and I think it's helped me dance longer and healthier, the freelancing. But then
Absolutely.
obviously company life, I miss, you know, that camaraderie with other dancers, because you are alone a lot, you know, especially my first few years
Yeah.
freelancing. It can be a bit lonely, doing that. But, you know, you find, you know, when you go to guestings and stuff, you're always inspired and working with other dancers from around the world. So you're not just working with those dancers that you see every day, which I think can help build you as a
Hmm.
dancer too. not just seeing the same dancers, but you're seeing dancers all over the world, and you're learning from them, and you're building relationships with these people, not just dancers, but choreographers and teachers. This is where I've got a lot of my contacts from, my connections.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really fortunate for that, you know, to be able to have had that experience and still have that experience and still dancing, hopefully for a little while longer,
Oh, I know,
staying
right?
healthy. Yeah, but
Yes, staying
it
healthy
was
is
a
the
great
key.
mix.
And
Yeah. Hmm.
so I wanted to tap into, because this is something I know you're personally very vocal about. It's about injury prevention and physical, maintenance of our body, because that's our biggest tool, being a ballet dancer. And so
Yeah.
because I've known you personally, we've had conversations. You've told me about your injury that you've had. At some point in our lives, in our careers, we're all going to experience something, whether it's just a fall and we get a bruise, or something that's going to require a lot more time and healing. And so
Mm.
mental mindset is definitely a really, really big factor in that. Obviously we can't dance, and obviously it's a sometimes very painful, arduous road to recovery. What advice or what knowledge can you pass along with how you've managed to come out on the other end of a pretty significant injury? Of course, coming back stronger, and of course, being able to mentally work through that, because, when the physical component of dance isn't there, it's very easy for us to get into our heads. And there are so many dancers, we're so disciplined and we're so used to just diving into the work and pushing out those thoughts.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, obviously, I'm not naive, but you can't feel like that you're a victim. You have to learn from those experiences and come out, stronger. And there's always, when there's a will, there's a way, and there's always a way. I think you can, come out as stronger, and
Definitely.
like what I always talk about, balance. If something happens to you, whether some type of injury, there's always a way to balance that out. Once you are back fully too, there's something that you can't do that you used to do. You can do something else in terms of your dancing that can balance out whatever that injury was. But yeah, I mean, I always think, Ali, it's just at the end of the day, like, if you truly love a career and a dance for a long, long time and you get injured, you can come back with the right mindset and building that knowledge and asking questions. Whether it's, for me, it was asking questions from physical therapists, from doctors, and these people work with dancers a lot. So I was always intrigued in asking them questions and absorbing their answers to help me come back stronger and heal faster. Because when you love something, you just
Definitely.
don't want that to end, and for a long time. So yeah.
Absolutely. No, I think that's an amazing mindset to have. And, it's interesting because obviously our bodies are doing something that's not normal. Ballet
Yeah,
is not normal.
it's not
Um,
normal.
there, it's not normal. And so there are days in the studio where it doesn't always work out. The pirouette doesn't happen,
Mm-hmm.
or the jump doesn't look what we think it's going to look like in the mirror. And so what perspective can you give us for, maybe this is something that you communicate to your dancers, or maybe it's something that you're communicating to yourself, you know, on those days when it's just not happening, or at least not happening the way we want it to.
Yeah, I
How do you push yourself to keep going and to, know that this is something that is okay, if it doesn't happen today, I've got to do it again tomorrow. And it's okay. It's a process of becoming what you're going to be, what you're going to become.
hmm I as a director, first I communicate with my dancers, telling them not every day is going to be perfect, and if something's bothering you, you can talk to me or my staff. It's very important for that, because I've realized and I've recognized in many other companies when I was growing up too, and still today, you can, as a dancer, you can be very intimidated or afraid to tell your leader, whoever's running the rehearsal, my foot is bothering me. Why? Why is that? I feel like those
Hmm.
people running those rehearsals can maybe be a little dismissive or not communicate enough with your dancers. So I try and make that very clear for my dancers and make them feel very comfortable where they can come to me or my staff and talk about, yeah, my ankle's hurting today. Because I preach that all the time to them. There's accidents happen. There's always going to be some type of pain. And I believe in balance. I always say that. So not every day is going to be great. And this is one reason why we have alternating days of intensity. And it seems to be really helping our dancers too, along with communicating and being able to talk to me or my staff about injuries. But I think once they get that, I think dancers overall feel more comfortable and realize that, yeah, exactly, it's okay to mark this step here and there, or mark this rehearsal, or take your point shoes off at the end of the day. It's okay. It's okay for me, and it's okay for my organization.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and I wanted to touch on that a little bit more. You know, obviously, we're all different people. Before we're Allie the ballerina, you know, we're also, you know, I'm Allie the person. And, you know, same goes for anybody in any career field. We are 100% ourselves as a human before we are, you know, our career, you know. And so I think it's important to normalize that conversation with our peers, with our superiors, because this, again, you know, we all have the same passion, we all have the same goal. We want to create something beautiful and be able to be the best versions of ourselves, but it's very intensely difficult to do that if the comfort and the trust is not there. You know, I think it's an amazing thing that you are so open with your dancers to communicate. And so I wanted to talk about, how has your confidence, or at least, you know, because not everyone has that comfort level to approach their trainer, whoever it may be. Not everyone has that level of comfort with them to do that, or they're, you know, have this fear of being reprimanded in some way. And so from your personal experience, you know, student, professional, artistic director, how has your thought process, or how is your perspective of communicating with trainers, bosses, superiors, how has that changed through the years?
Me as a dancer?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I would say, I feel like as a dancer, for me, there were certain people that I felt much more comfortable being able to tell if, you know, if I had a guesting or if I had an injury so it's just, like I said, I feel like it's the person running that rehearsal. Unfortunately, not everyone's going to be open and as passionate and caring as others, unfortunately, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, there were some, at the end of the day, I've learned, like, as a dancer, where at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself. You know, no one else is going to do that for you. And I know it's kind of a hard way of saying it, but because not everybody's the same who's running those rehearsals. So
It's true,
you really
it's
can't
true. I mean,
care of what anyone thinks. Yeah. And if you have to take care of your body, you have to take care of your body, because that's priority. Because if you want to last a long time, that's priority, no matter what anyone tells you or anyone tries to push you.
sure. I mean, I think it's so true. I mean, the only one who's going to take care of you is you, because only you can be the one to say, yeah, this is what's going on today. And you have to just be able to be confident enough and trusting what you're feeling to be able to act on that. And I think that that's something that needs to be more, again, I keep using the term normalized a lot. I think that there's so many things within the ballet community that should be normalized or should be more openly discussed, because there's so much sacrifice, and there's so much commitment that goes into what we do, and it's not always perfect. It doesn't always, not every day, like you were saying, not every day is going to be what we want it to be, but this is the kind of job where when we're at the studio, we're at the studio, and even when we're at home, you know, yeah, we're not working, but what we do at home is going to impact us the next day. So it's a lifestyle, and it's a difficult one at that.
It is. It is. And I've always said that about, I preach that to my dancers and my trainees, like, it's, you know, not just what you do in the studio, but how you take care of yourself when you're home, you know, what you're eating and what you're doing. Do you know, for the older ones especially, you're going to go out and, get a drink, or you're going to stay home, or you're going to do something else that's lucrative, because again, it's such a short career, so you want to make the best of it. And I
Sure.
know, I mean, we all have a life to live, obviously, but just creating that balance and being smart when maybe a show is getting closer, and you want to, you have to be smart with your preparation in terms for your body and for
Of
sustained peak
course.
performance, which I always say. Yeah.
Definitely.
Hmm.
And self-image is something that we are so critical of. And so I wanted to talk to you now, again, and get both perspectives as a dancer and as an
Hmm.
artistic director. You know, we've all gone through it, or we're going through it now, puberty. This affects our bodies, and in a
Yeah.
career form where we are so limited in regards to how we need to be and what we need to look like and what we have to do to ourselves to be in that top peak fitness. It's
Hmm.
challenging going
It
through those
is.
teen years when we're experiencing challenges, and that does a lot to us physically already. It throws us off our balance. It does this, it does that, but also mentally. So for
Hmm.
those students, maybe, someone wrote in a question kind of, they actually wrote, what does he think about bodies and changing as we grow up? We've lived it. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's again, coming from my point of view, being a girl as well, it's hard. I
Yeah.
think I don't want to say it's harder for the girls, but it's hard in general because it affects us both. Um, and having a good outlook and knowing, you're growing and you're developing, I think that's the mindset that's key, is just I am turning into the person, turning into the dancer that I'm meant to be. And with that, of course, people get taller, people fill out, the guys tend to bulk up a little bit. Everyone experiences it at a different rate. But
Yeah.
mentally, when we look in the mirror, sometimes it's like, whoa, that it looked better last month. What advice or what guidance can you pass along to those people who are going through that in their training right now?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's you kind of said it perfectly. Like, it's everyone goes through that. But I mean, you have to realize that it's gonna pass. Obviously, it's puberty and things. But when I talk to my dancers, I tell them, like, there's nobody in my company and in the ballet, the ballet world of professional ballet, who's fat. But mentality, obviously, ballet
Mm-hmm.
makes us, ballet can make us feel like that, especially the women, obviously, um,
Being super
going through that,
hypercritical, yeah.
going through that age. But ballet really can make us feel like that. And I think that comes from a lot of, unfortunately, other teachers who said to students, and that
Mm-hmm.
this and that. Obviously, um, again, yes, I believe that there is a certain limit in terms of being a dancer with that weight. Whether, and I'm not just talking about bigger but thinner too. Like, you have to be healthy
Mm-hmm.
no matter what. You have to be healthy, because I say again, there's nobody in my company who's fat, and every director should be able to preach that. But can
Definitely.
is there excess weight on your joints that can affect your joints and your ligaments? And can somebody do better with that? Yeah, definitely. That can happen even with guys when they're too bulky. That's extra muscle, weighs more than fat, so that's extra weight on your joints that you don't need. That can help you down the
Sure.
line if you can tone up a little bit. But the fact that everyone is thinking, "Oh my God, I'm fat," it's sad, because they're not. They're not.
Yeah.
But ballet can make us think that. So I try and tell my dancers, yeah, you guys, whoever needs to, maybe tone up here, or your legs or something like that, that's going to help with taking away that excess
Sure.
weight on your joints. That's something different than just. I've heard, teachers and directors, have said, "Oh, you're fat." That doesn't help. That doesn't help. What
No,
helps
not at
is
all.
trying to address the situation, and maybe uh, uh, you know, contacting that person with somebody who may be helpful with, as a nutritionist or something like that, or
Sure.
that can help. But yeah, thinking mentally that you're fat, it's sad. And then having somebody who's telling you that, as a teacher or director or ballet master, and not presenting the situation in a better way. I feel that's just, you know,
It's very delicate. It's
yeah,
very
it's very
sensitive.
delicate.
Yeah.
It's very sensitive. It's very sensitive, but it can be very, with the improper communication, it can not
Sure.
be good for the dancer if you're just saying it the wrong way. And it's very sensitive. But again, I think of it like that. Yeah, is somebody just like, you know, could I be a bodybuilder? I couldn't because of my body. There's no way I could be a bodybuilder the way my DNA is, and from my dad's side. I'm going to be thin my whole life, which is good in some ways. But if I wanted to be a bodybuilder, I couldn't.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing.
We all
I
have
think
to work within our means.
we do, and I agree. Like, and going into like this other thing, like, I think it's great. Everyone can try everything, but not everyone can do everything as a profession. It just doesn't work like that, you know? So you have to know what you have and how passionate you are about it and go for it, you know? But there is a certain, obviously, long, lean muscle. There's a certain look for ballet dancers, yeah? But it doesn't mean that if you don't have that, that you can't be a professional, you know? As a
Sure.
director, I may take a smaller dancer and use him for certain roles. There's certain roles, you know? So,
Yeah, I mean, we have to use our own physical uniqueness to better ourselves professionally. I think
yeah.
that's something
Could I be
that,
a sumo wrestler? I couldn't be a sumo wrestler. You
oh,
know?
Joey, I think you'd be an amazing sumo wrestler. Um, no, but I mean, this is something that I've heard you say several times on your company's page and from the promotional videos you guys put out there. We are athletes of art. Like, we're
Hmm.
not just ballet dancers. Like, dance
We're not.
is, it's a physical art, it's
Yeah.
so demanding. And it's really, I mean, what we do is I have to sometimes, like, when I look at videos or I'm rehearsing something, and even in class with my colleagues, I look around sometimes and I'm just like, yeah, I'm used to doing fouettes on point. But then when you really watch it, you're like, wow, like, who does that? Who spins around 32 times on one foot on like this big of a little platform? And guys, I mean, I don't even know how I would do ballet if I was a guy. All of these incredible, amazing, tours en l'air that you do, it defies gravity. You guys are superhuman.
Oh, all
What
ballet
we,
dancers, yeah. The female
yeah.
and male. It's crazy. It's really, that's why I love it. That's why I really love it. You know, this career. And I agree with you.
It's
It's just,
amazing,
it's
yeah.
amazing. But being able to connect music with expression and acting, and and the athletic part and the beauty and the elegance. It's great. It's a mixture it's a potent mix. That's why it's so special. Yeah.
Definitely. And so
Yeah.
someone quickly wrote in, I've got my computer next to me in the
Mm-hmm.
screen, and it's just like blowing up with messages. Someone wants to know, obviously people have insecurities, we all do. But of course, as
Yeah.
dancers, we can sometimes, it's easy to identify our strengths, like, oh, I'm more of an adagio person, or I'm more of a
Oh yeah.
allegro
Yeah.
type dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously identifying, I don't want to say, I mean, maybe some people view it as an insecurity, but identifying your strengths and weaknesses. And then I want to tie this to another question, because someone wrote
Mm-hmm.
in, how do you feel about typecasting? And I think that they're hinting on, some companies will cast dancers based on, oh, this girl is more of a romantic dancer, so she's going to do the roles like, Giselle, Juliet, things like that. And then you have dancers who are more like a fiery, explosive, Kitri, Flames of Paris type thing. What are your thoughts on, I guess, typecasting? And then, of course, identifying the areas of strength and weakness so that you're able to do both.
Yeah, I think first of all, yeah, that definitely comes from the dancer. Like being able to, okay, I love turning and jumping, but I want to try other roles. I want to be able to, I'm good at that, jumping and turning, but being able to build on that is important. Like, I've been doing Romeo and Juliet and these full-length ballets like Giselle and Swan Lake, and I love it just as much. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's depending on, I mean, I would love to give opportunities to other dancers. If you're saying somebody who's strong and fiery, but they may be good at a romantic role too. So you want to give them that time, at least in the
Sure.
studio, to rehearse it, so you can see them how they're portraying that character, and they may do that really well. So you give them that opportunity. You know, obviously you're going to lean towards, you see someone who can turn and jump. Okay, I'm going to give them Don Q. But you know, people acknowledged my Giselle and Romeo and Juliet, which I'm really thankful for. You know, so. I love working towards that balance, and like I always talk about, and that versatility. I think that's what makes a dancer special, is being able to challenge yourself at, you know. So yeah,
Sure.
I think
No,
it's
it's
great. I mean,
something, this is. Oh, sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
oh no. I was just thinking, yeah, about that. It's just studying those roles can be really beneficial if that's something that you're interested in. You know, not just being one-sided, like just doing Flames of Paris or Don Q. You see a lot of dancers do that today. And I think it's mainly for the tricks, which is fun. I mean, that's part of
Yeah.
dance, you know, but there's so much more than just that, you know, being expressive on stage and moving and just, you know, portraying a character. I feel I've always loved so much, and trying to make the audience
hmm
believe in my character is one of the most, it's just so pleasing to hear when people come up to you and say that, oh, I loved you in you know, Romeo or Albrecht or something like that. It's nice. Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, I think I was, gosh, I want to say 13, maybe just turning 14,
Hmm.
the first time I was able to be on the same stage as you and be in a rehearsal environment with you. This is with
Oh my God,
Magali,
that was
Magali
so,
Suarez, and I
oh
remember
man.
what we were doing. We were doing La Bayadere with Addie, and I'll never
That was
forget.
awesome.
I
That
mean,
was fun.
watching you guys. That was one of my first experiences as a student dancing alongside professionals, and it fascinated me, obviously. And you have always been someone who just lights up the room. It's so funny, so charismatic,
Oh,
but
thank
the level of professionalism that you had from the moment you stepped on stage to even being in the wings, you were in it through and through. And
thank
seeing that at a
you.
young age, I'm so lucky I got to experience that, because that's it just goes to show the level of commitment to the role, regardless of what role it is. And I think that it's unique too, because now, of course, fast forward many years, I'm 22, I've done more Bayaders than I can even remember. And it's amazing because you were the first solar that I saw, and now I've been able to see so
Wow.
many. And it's incredible because there are so many different interpretations of these roles, and it's
Hmm.
really, I think, my biggest goal, hopefully when I get to that point to dance those roles myself. you know it's so important, and it's so fascinating to be able to see how these dancers, how these artists bring themselves into it, because it makes it human, it makes it
It
personal.
does.
And I mean,
Hmm.
you can hear it in the way that they breathe. It's
Yeah.
the most wonderful, wonderful thing that I've been able to witness, not only from you, but so many other amazing, incredible artists. So I just wanted to highlight that, because you have always been someone who
Thank
I've held
you.
on this pillar of what I want to bring to my dancing. So
Oh,
I'm
thank
sure if
you.
people have the opportunity to see you, whether it's on a screen or on a stage, hopefully on a stage very soon, that they will feel the same. And so I wanted to, this is another interesting question, but this is something that I think is extremely important. There's a
Hmm.
lot of stigmas and stereotypes in the ballet world.
Hmm.
Um, some good, some not so good, some that are really lovely, and some that are less than lovely. And so hopefully, when we all come out of this coronavirus situation and we're back to doing it, hopefully there will be a really new appreciation for what we do, which I think that we're all going to be able to relate to in some capacity. But in regards to some of those stigmas and stereotypes, what is one thing that you would really like to see change in the ballet world, or you would like to see people address differently?
I would like overall the public, just to maybe have a better understanding of what it what it takes and what it's like being a professional ballet dancer. Um,
Sure.
because we work just as hard, I think, as athletes, and I think a lot of people still don't have that. I think there's more interest in terms of dance, especially being a classical, like professional ballet dancer, but there's not that real true knowledge and understanding of it. And that's one thing we're trying to do here in Orlando, is try and educate them in that way, you know, that proper high quality classical contemporary works, and just telling them and explaining to them that we're artists, but we're also athletes, and we want to be respected as both of those too. And I think it would be amazing if people could understand that. And you know, there's so many people out there, you still see commercials with guys doing this, you know, and twirling.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? It's like a normal,
Yeah.
it's still out there. So I want to try and break that stereotype, you know, and that it's strong. It's strong, and it's elegant and
Definitely.
powerful and beautiful. So that's something I'd like to hopefully change or help with.
Definitely. And then one last question, because I don't want to run out of time, but I did want to touch on, of course, for people who are watching, for people who will see this at a later point on my YouTube, you know, what is one, I don't want to say wish, but what is one piece of parting wisdom or motivation that you can share? And something, maybe this is something you already share with your company dancers. You know, what is something that you would like them to keep in mind throughout their career? You know, if you could give them like a, what's the thing I'm thinking of? You know, in those like movies when you have like your little guardian angel or your little person of reason on your shoulder, you know, the positive one, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
A little constant reminder to hold on to throughout this process of your career, whether you're a student, professional, whoever.
Oh my God, there's a lot. There,
I
obviously,
know,
I mean,
sorry, this is one we
no,
can
that's
talk about for
okay.
ages.
Yeah, you can. And obviously, I think when you're younger, you may not even think of that because you're so young and you're just going through the movements. But especially once you hit that professional career, I mean, anyone can tell you who's already done with their career, it goes by so fast. So you have to enjoy every second on stage. And again, sometimes maybe, you know, I know a lot of people who get really nervous on stage or things like that before they go on, because doing what you do in the studio is so different. It can be so different than what you do on stage. You know, you see so many people do all this
Sure.
studio footage of them, but then when they get on stage, it's not like that. You know, so it's
Yeah.
almost misleading to a lot of those young dancers who are watching these
Yeah.
people in the studio do all of this stuff, but then you never see them do it on stage. So what I'm trying to say is that for those young ones especially, work everything you do in the studio, you have to try it on stage. And if you fail, you fail. That's how you're going to improve. Obviously, you know, that is how you're going to improve. So you have to try it on stage, because what's the point of doing it in the studio then? So I always tell myself,
Sure.
everything I do in the studio, I'm working for the stage. So, and if you get nervous, I just, as a personal thing, I think it's great right before you go on stage to maybe think of why you're here, think of, you know, your loved ones, think of people who helped you and supported you in this career, and the people who maybe didn't as well, to, you know, for strength and power, and to prove to yourself, not only to yourself but your loved ones too, you know, that you're going on and doing something that you enjoy. And I think that can really
Absolutely.
lift you up and give you that strength. Like, you know, sometimes when I'm nervous, I always think of my dad, who's been fighting cancer for a long time, so that gets me like really strong.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear about that, but I am so pleased that you're able to use your family and your loved ones and the amount of love and compassion that they have brought to you in your life as a motivating factor. I think that's an amazing, amazing thing. And
Yes.
Joey, I am just beyond thrilled to have had you be part of this today. And I'm
Thank
certain
you
that
so much.
your words of wisdom are going to do wonders for so, so many people. Yeah, I mean, definitely. For those, again, for those who are watching right now, if you guys want to learn more about Joey, about United Ballet Theater, any of that, of course, go check out his Instagram pages. And if you need to figure out how to get there, feel free to check it out on his artist profile page on allieetoile.com. And then again, Joey, I want to wish you continued health, continued success,
You
especially at
too,
this crazy
Allie.
time. And it has
I
been an
know.
absolute pleasure to have you be part of this.
Oh, thank you for having me. Seriously, I can't believe that. My gollies, that was like our first year of freelancing. That was like 9 years ago. Bye there.
I
Oh my god,
know. We
that
were
was crazy.
babies. No, that
Yeah,
was, thank God
that's good.
I've grown up because I don't even want to think about my dancing then. But yours, I mean, yours has
No,
always been
stop.
phenomenal. So,
Oh, stop. You're awesome. You keep it up. It's awesome
oh
what you're doing.
gosh. Well, thank you, thank
Yeah,
you. Well,
of
anyway,
course.
I mean, on behalf of, of course, on behalf of myself, I want to thank you for being part of this today. And again,
My
for those who are
pleasure.
watching this, if you missed part of it or had trouble with all of our crazy audio technical or technological issues in the beginning, you will be able to watch the whole version of this video on my YouTube in just a couple days. And again, Joey, you're amazing. Thank you for being so inspirational. And I so
Oh,
look forward to seeing you and United Ballet Theater on the stage very soon.
thank you. Keep moving. Stay safe, you guys. Thanks, Allie.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joey. Have a great day.